Well, hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. There's something about an auction like Mecum Auctions. The noise, the pressure, the split-second decisions. And then, just like that, a bike you grew up dreaming about sells for a number that either makes perfect sense or absolutely no sense at all. Because in that room, it only takes two people to completely change what a motorcycle is worth. And today, we're putting that to the test. I've got 10 incredible machines that recently crossed the block, from vintage motocross icons to rare road-going legends. And a few you probably didn't expect to see here at all. I'll show you the bikes, the stories, the history, but before the hammer drops, your job is simple. Guess what they sold for, because some of these you'll get pretty close, and others, well, they'll catch you completely off guard, I think. So grab a pen, keep score, and let's see how well you really know the motorcycle market. Alright, let's get this party started. Bike number one, the Honda CR125M Elsinore from 1974. Now, if you grew up anywhere near motocross in the 1970s, you knew this bike. Posters, magazines, local tracks, the Elsinore was everywhere. It was fast, it was cheap, and most of all, it was fun.
1974 Honda CR125M Elsinore marked a turning point in motocross history. For the first time, riders could walk into a dealership and buy a lightweight, competitive motocross bike straight off the showroom floor. It combined reliability, performance, and affordability, helping fuel the explosive growth of motocross across the United States and beyond. Its distinctive silver tank with its bold green stripe became instantly recognizable, and it remains, even today, one of the most iconic dirt bikes ever produced.
The Elsinore was one of those bikes that kids dreamed about. The one you promised yourself one day you might own, or at least just ride one once. And now, 50 years later, people are paying serious money to get that feeling back. So, how much would you pay to bring back those 1974 memories? This one's in pretty good condition too, by the way. It looks like it's a full restoration. There wasn't much of a write-up about it, but you can see by the pictures that it's pristine. It's a very, very good example. Anyway, you have 5 seconds. Write down your answer. We'll see how you go.
12, bouncing out a bit, goes on at 12.
Offering S49 a 74 Honda CR125 Elsinore.
So, how did you go with that one, guys? Did you get anywhere near 12,500 American dollars? I certainly didn't, that's for sure. Anyway, that bike actually only retailed for about $750, I think, back in 1974. And an interesting fact, it only weighed about 70 kilograms dry. Very flickable.
Free service off. You 12,500, but I'm going to do 12,500. So $12,000.
All right, next up we have something very, very special indeed. It's not just rare, it's a one of only one ever made. And that was certainly reflected in its auction price.
The 1968 Honda CB750 prototype is widely considered one of the most important motorcycles ever built. This hand-built one-off machine predates the production CB750s and was sent to the United States in 1968 to test and promote what would become the world's first superbike. Featuring a revolutionary inline-4 engine, electric start, and front disc brake, it set the template for modern performance motorcycles. Unlike production models, this prototype includes one-off components and unique engineering details found nowhere else.
Okay, that's the backstory done, and as you probably realise already, this isn't just a bike, it's history. So what do you think this sold for? Right, the final settlement price for this bike, according to Mecum Auctions, is $313,500 American dollars. That's not just expensive, that's record breaking. Wow. Coming in at number 3 is a pure American racing legend, the 1970 Harley-Davidson XR750. Now I remember some years back a couple of local guys in my hometown imported these bikes from America, a pair of them, and tried to race them around our local speedway track, 3/4 mile track, long track, with varying degrees of success. So I take my hat off to anybody who can ride one of these bikes successfully, because it takes a lot of skill and a lot of courage.
The Harley-Davidson XR750 is one of the most successful racing motorcycles in history. Introduced in 1970, it dominated flat track racing for decades and became the weapon of choice for dirt track legends, and was famously favoured by stuntman Evel Knievel for his record-breaking jumps. Built for competition, the XR750 features a lightweight frame and a powerful V-twin engine designed specifically for dirt track performance.
Well, there you go, guys. It's got history, it's got pedigree, it's got heritage. So what did it sell for? You've got 5 seconds. Back in 1970, the Harley-Davidson XR750 was released to meet AMA homologation requirements and had an original retail price of $3,200, or roughly 5 CR125Ms from 1973. Now, the auction price, well, that was reflected in the collector's value for sure, 44,000 American dollars.
20,000 under David, a bid 20 to bid 20,000. Who get 10 down $10,000? Hit 10 under David, get 10,000 under David.
We have an interesting backstory on the 1970 Harley-Davidson XR750. Despite being a purpose-built racer, they weren't exactly flying off the shelves, which is no wonder at $3,200. That would have been a lot of money back then. Harley-Davidson produced the mandatory 200 units to qualify for racing, but they struggled to sell them initially. Legend has it that the factory eventually destroyed about 100 of them just to get them off the books, a move that definitely contributed to the sky-high collector's prices we see today. Right, coming in at number 4 we have the 1979 Yamaha YZ 250, and pretty sure that was the F model that year. The G was 1980. That was one of the first YZ 250s I ever rode, actually the first 250 two-stroke I'd ever ridden, and I could not believe that anybody, any sane or normal person could actually control one of those things. The first time I rode it, it was just mind-blowingly fast. It's funny, 2 or 3 years later I was actually racing and winning on 250 two-stroke, so there you go, you do adapt.
The 1979 YZ250 was defined by evolution over revolution, fixing several nagging issues from the 1978 E model. It remains a favourite among vintage motocross racers today for its reliable power and improved handling.
Alright, back in 1979 this bike retailed for the princely sum of $1,795. Don't you wish you could pay that much for a new dirt bike nowadays from Japan? And it didn't actually sell for much more than that at auction, which was surprising because it's not a bad looking example of the bike from that year. So what do you think it sold for? 5 seconds. Yes, you read that right. $2,500 for a 1979 YZ250 was all that bike could manage. Sometimes you win at auctions, sometimes you lose. Well, if you're a seller, you lost. If you're a buyer, you probably won. Not saying I would have bought that bike if I'd been there, but I still think it sold way too cheap.
You better get 12, 15, 1700 at 2,000. Now you better get $2,200, $500, $2,500 at $2,500 bid. You better get 5, 5, 7, 7, 7, 2,700. I have $2,500 bid. You better get $2,700. You get 5 bid. You better get 27. $7,000. Sold $2,500.
Alright, before we even talk about this one, just take a second and imagine the sound. 297 cc's, 6 cylinders, screaming at full revs. Not a deep under, not a thump, but a high-pitched mechanical scream like nothing else on earth. Guys, I give you the Honda CR125M George Beale replica.
The Honda RC174 is one of the most extraordinary racing motorcycles ever created. Developed during the golden era of Grand Prix racing in the 1960s, the original machine featured a 6-cylinder engine capable of revving to astonishing levels for its time. It was a masterpiece of engineering, complex, precise, and far ahead of its competition. The sound of the RC174 became legendary, a high-revving symphony that defined an era of racing innovation. This particular motorcycle is a replica built by George Beale, a name renowned for producing some of the most accurate and meticulously crafted recreations in the world. Every detail, from the engine layout to the chassis and finish, has been recreated with incredible precision, capturing not just the appearance, but the spirit of the original machine. These replicas are produced in extremely limited numbers, making them highly desirable among collectors who value both engineering excellence and historical significance.
Owning something like this isn't just about performance anymore. It's about experience. It's about history. It's about owning something that represents the absolute edge of what was possible. So now the big question. What do you think something like this actually sold for at Mecum? And I'll give you a hint. It's the highest priced bike I will feature in this video.
Team owner Bob McLean. This is a 2004 Honda RC174 George Beale replica.
This 2004 RC174 sold for $330,000 US. And honestly, I'm not even surprised. The only thing that surprises me, that didn't go for more. You're not just buying a motorcycle, you're buying one of the greatest engineering statements ever made.
150, 200,000 on a bed. You're now 250 pounds and on a bed. You're 225 to bed, high 50. You're now 225, high 250. You're 225 to bed, but I'm not going to do 250 pounds and on a bed. You're 225, 50 go, 50 bed, 250. 250's bed, 275. You're now 250, high 275 pounds and on it. 250,000, 275, 285,000 out of bed, 300,000 out of bed. You're now 300, high 380 bigger to do 300,000 on it. 285, 300, you're 300, but I'm not going to do 3. You're out there 10. You're now 310, high 380 bigger to do 310. You're now 310, high down 10, down 10, down. Reserve is off. You're 310, high going to do 300,000 on a bed. $310,000 internet drought. 300,000 on a bed. 310. You're 10, high going to do 310. 300,000. Yes, 300, 310, high 3 to bid. 310. You're 310. Anybody else? Last call. 300 to bid. 310,000. Sold. $300,000 sold. $300,000. George Boswell sold.
Alright, our next bike is something that hits a different kind of nostalgia, I suppose you could say. It's a 2007 Suzuki RMZ 450 Ricky Carmichael edition. Now guys, this bike was actually bought brand new and never ridden from 2007. Well, it's pretty much still the current model, going by what the changes that Suzuki have made since then, which has been next to nothing.
The RMZ 450Z was built to honour the greatest of all time, Ricky Carmichael. This special edition features the iconic Makita Suzuki graphics and gold anodized wheels. The 449 cubic centimetres 4-stroke engine was the first fuel-injected motocrosser to win an AMA championship, marking the definitive shift from 2 strokes to 4 strokes.
So, what do you think this bike sold for? And I'll give you a little bit of a tip. It's not much more than what you could buy a brand new one for right now.
Ricky Carmichael Special Edition, not eligible for road use. Good looking bike.
Rick's bike there.
So how did you go with that one, guys? Did you think $11,500 was a fair price for that bike? A bike that's pretty much the same one as Ken Roxon just won the recent St. Louis Supercross on? Yeah, I'm not sure that modern legends are becoming collector's bikes just yet. But it may happen in the future. We'll just have to wait and see.
Down 585, down 8,000, down 5, and down 9, down 85, down 9, get a bit of a 9, down 9, get a bit of a 9,000 a bit, down 5, and 9 there, 5, I'd get a bit of a 595, I'd get a bit of a 9, down 5, 10, and a 10, down 5, I'd get a bit of a 10, down 5, I'd get a bit of 10,000, 5, 11 a bit, and 10, 5, 11,000, 11 a bit, I'll reserve it, 11,000 or down, 10, 5, 11,000, 11 bid, I'd get a bit of a 11, down 10, 5, down 11, down a bid, I'd get a bit of a 11 here, 10, 5, 11,000, 11 here, last call down, I'd get a bit of a 11, I'd get a bit of a sold, 10, 5, in sold 10,000, $500 worth.
Coming in at number 7, we have a very iconic bike indeed. It's a 1974 BSA B50 Dick Man. Now, this comes from a time in motorcycle history when the Japanese were just beginning to take over and British bikes were basically fighting to still stay relevant. But they weren't going down without a fight. By the early 70s, everything was changing. The Japanese manufacturers were coming in fast, lighter bikes, more power, better reliability, and for the old guard, it was starting to look like the end of an era. But every now and then, a bike and a rider would show up and remind everyone there was still something left in the tank.
The BSAB 50, associated with Dick Man, represents one of the final serious efforts from British manufacturers to remain competitive in American racing. Built around a lightweight chassis and a high-performance single-cylinder engine, the B50 was designed to take on the rapidly advancing machines from Japan. Dick Man, one of the most versatile and respected racers of his time, brought credibility and experience to the platform. Known for his ability to win across multiple disciplines, Man's association with BSA helped keep the brand competitive during a period of intense transition in the motorcycle industry. Although the odds were shifting, machines like the B50 proved that British engineering still had the performance and the spirit to fight back.
And that, my friends, is what makes this bike very interesting indeed. It's not just about what it won, it's about when it showed up. Right at the moment where everything was starting to slip away. You can almost picture it, lined up on the grid, surrounded by newer, faster machines, and still, somehow, holding its own. So when something like this comes up at Mecum Auctions, what do you think people are willing to pay? Is it just another old race bike? Or is it a piece of a disappearing era? How much do you think this bike sold for? I think you're in for a surprise.
40, and I've got a bit of a 5, got a bit of a 40 bid, 35, now 40, ask him there, 40,000 a bid. George Bennett, ask him, got 35, 40,000 a bid.
The final price? $37,500. That tells you everything. People aren't just buying the bike, they're buying the story. Why? Because bikes like this, they just don't come around often.
35, I've got a bit of a 40, got a bit of a 35, 37 pound pound. Hit 5, I've got a bit of a 37 pound here, I've got a bit of a 35, 37 a pound. And I've got a bit of a 5, got a bit of a 7 hit. We also got a bit of a 35, 7. Last call, 35, 37 a pound. Hit 5, I've got a bit of a 7 down. I've got a bit of a 35, 37 pound. I'd have 135, sold $35,000. Chicken George.
All right, this one had a reputation and not always a friendly one. Because back in the early 80s, if someone told you they had a Mecum MC490, you paid attention. Not because it was pretty, not because it was rare, but because it was serious.
The 1981 Mecum MC490 Mega 2 is widely regarded as one of the most powerful open-class motocross bikes of its era. Powered by a large capacity two-stroke engine, it delivered explosive acceleration and a level of performance that could overwhelm even experienced riders. At a time when suspension and chassis technology was still evolving, Managing that power required significant skill and control. In the right hands, however, the MC490 was incredibly fast and highly competitive, earning respect across the motocross world. It became known not only for its performance, but for the challenge it presented, a machine that demanded commitment from its rider.
And that's the thing. If you could ride one of these properly, people noticed. You didn't have to say anything. The bike said it all for you. Today, bikes like this represent something we don't see anymore. Raw, unforgiving performance, no electronics, no safety nets, just you and the machine. And for a lot of collectors, that's exactly the appeal. This particular example has had a full restoration, including the engine. So, in dollar terms, what do you think that kind of reputation is actually worth? Take 5 seconds. What can you guess? We'll see
Spot
how you go.
S262 and 81 Mecum MC490 Mega 2 sold on a bill of sale.
Yep, right, Hunter David, get here 20. Here, if you get 20, if you get 10. Rangeman want this one. Again, 7, 8, 10, 12, 12,000, and 10, 12. Hunter David, 12,000, Hunter 11, 12.
This one sold for $18,150. And honestly, I get it. You're not just buying a bike, you're buying one of the wildest experiences motocross ever produced.
14, and now 14, Hunter David, get 13, Hunter David, get 14. 13's bid, $14,000. I've got 13 to bid, 14, $15,000.
Which brings us to bike number 9, the 1973 Honda CB350 Flying Dragon. Yes, we're going in a completely different direction with this one, guys, because now it's not about racing, it's about expression. No lap times, no championships, just creativity from 1973.
The 1973 Honda CB350 Flying Dragon is a custom-built motorcycle inspired by traditional Japanese artistry and craftsmanship. Starting from a relatively modest production bike, it has been transformed into something entirely unique through intricate detailing and design. The visual theme draws heavily from cultural motifs, with handcrafted elements that reflect both artistic expression and technical skill. Every component, from the paintwork to the finer details, contributes to a cohesive design that elevates the motorcycle beyond its original purpose. Rather than focusing on performance, builds like this emphasize individuality, turning a machine into a one-of-a-kind statement.
I've got to admit, guys, when I first saw this bike, a 325cc parallel twin putting out around 36 horsepower, from an era of road bikes that I thought nobody would be interested in, well, yeah, wait till you see the price it sold for. But I suppose when it comes to custom bikes like this, value isn't all about spec sheets, it's about taste. One person might see this and think it's incredible, another, pretty much like me, might not connect with it at all. So, when something this unique goes through Mecum Auctions, what do you think happens? Does it go big? Or does it fly under the radar? Take a second. What's your guess? I was nowhere near it, not even close. Yes, the auctioneer dropped the hammer on this one at $45,000 US, which just goes to show the right buyer was there at the right time. And it's like a piece of art, I suppose. If the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or the collector in this case. There you go. $45,000 for a slow 1973 Honda road bike. Wow. Well, I think if I had one of those now, I'd be getting the spray can out and doing a bit of work. What do you think?
Hire David to get here 40,000. Anybody else there for $40,000? Yep, 42. Hire David to get down $2,000. I got 48 a bid. Hire David to get here 2. Down 5. And down 5 a bid. I'm 45,000. Hire David to get down 45,000. Hire David to get down 7 a bid. I got $45,000. $47,000. Yep, 5, 7. Hire David to get here. You want 6? Last call. 46. That might do her. I don't know. Hire David to get here 5 at a month. $6,000 bid and a half. So $45,000, Katie.
Lot T1.
Which brings us to number 10, guys, our final bike. A 1984 Husqvarna CR250 or 250 CR. I think that's the proper way to say it.
Gemini said, the 1984 Husqvarna CR250 is the swan song of the Swedish-built era. It's a fascinating mechanical contradiction. It was Husky's first 250cc to embrace liquid cooling, yet it stubbornly clung to its twin-shock roots, while the Japanese Big Four had long since moved to monoshocks. At 101 kilograms, it felt impossibly slim. The power delivery was legendary. It didn't have the low-end grunt of a Honda. Instead, it screamed like a 125 on steroids. You didn't just ride it, you fanned the clutch and prayed to the gods of speed. The last real Husky. To purists, 1984 was the final year of the true Swede before the brand moved to Italy. While Japanese bikes of 84 could turn on a dime, the Husky was built for high-speed stability. Old racers joke that you needed a calendar to plan a turn, but once you were in a straight line, it tracked like it was on rails. It remains the ultimate evolution class weapon today. Classic twin shock looks, with the reliability of a water-cooled heart.
Well, there you go, guys. A bit of an interesting backstory there on the 1984 Husqvarna CR250, 250 CR. Yeah, it's a pity the auctioneer didn't read out that before he auctioned this bike, or it might have done quite a bit better than what it did. Speaking of that, you have 5 seconds. Let me know what you think.
So
Now I'll bring W17 1984 Husqvarna CR250. Sold on a bill of sale.
Alright guys, how did you go with that one? Did you get anywhere near $800 US? Yes, that's 800, not 8,000, 800 US dollars. Now, this is one bike, if I'd been there, I probably would have bid on this one, which is why I've included in the video. Actually, I got quite a surprise when I saw the auction price. Yes, it's not in fantastic condition, but it's one of those things that's easy enough fix. Exhaust pipes are pretty easy to get someone to manufacture a new section for those. The rest of the bike is complete, and yeah, it would have been a fun project, that's for sure. At $800, I think that was a steal. So there you go, guys. 10 incredible machines and 10 very different answers to the same question. What are they actually worth? Because as we've seen, it's not just about the bike, it's the history, the reputation, and the memories attached to it. And sometimes just having the right two people in the room at the right time. And that's what makes Mecum Auctions so interesting. You never really know what's going to happen. So let me know in the comments, guys, how did you go? How many did you get? Did you get close? Probably did better than I did when I first did it. And more importantly, which one surprised you the most? Well, that'll be the last one for me. So if you enjoyed this one, I've got plenty more coming. More bikes, more stories, and definitely more prices that don't quite make sense. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Mike from Moto Touro.